I was going to tell you about something I discovered about a particular company's marketing slogan. It's Barks Root Beer, and on the box it just says it's good.
I like it.
That's it.
That's good. That's
it's soda. It's fine. It's good.
It's good.
Drink it, you animal.
How is that root beer? It's good.
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to turn my gain up just a little bit.
Oh, he's going to turn his gain up, folks.
Yeah. Well, prior to air here, I went to touch my boom mic to move it in position, and the whole thing collapsed.
Well, that's what you get for touching stuff.
And buying the cheapest mic boom on the planet. I bought it. I'm paying the price for it. Those things work, except, if you try to make it work beyond its design limits. Well, that's true. Yeah. No, if you make it go beyond the design limits, there is no...
You going to welcome the listeners, or...?
I'm getting there, yeah. I suppose we can.
We're going to welcome the listeners before you get into your ramblings there.
Well, this is the pre-ramblings. I've got ramblings. Oh, do I have ramblings?
Oh, I don't doubt you have ramblings.
I think I'm good to go now. Welcome again to another episode of Drake and the Maestro. Almost relevant.
You don't have what they call the social skills.
Okay.
Grateful and a little annoyed.
Okay. Listen,
before I go too far, I know Memorial Day is over, but we'll just have a moment just for everyone who's served who never made it back home. And to you people, we're grateful.
Yes, we are.
Order! Whoa! Soda! Order! Present! Present! Order! Right shoulder! Earth!
It seems that the Memorial Day weekend out here at the compound is where, again, unwittingly, unintentionally, involuntarily even, the center of a dirt track or some kind of moto autocross. I thought the big race
you didn't volunteer to live on like ATV World's personal track?
Yeah, I thought the big race was in Indianapolis, but I was wrong.
They got the okayest wienering for that race they could.
So to you folks out there who enjoyed traveling on the good way, and on Memorial Day weekend, it was epic out here. There was just legions of everything. It was ATVs, rednecks. It was Harleys, it was lifted trucks, it was anything with the muffler's been cut off came through my backyard. Thank you so much for having that kind of consideration.
You're welcome. I'm glad they give you a service.
Yeah, I appreciate everything getting rumbled by your just impressive machinery that I have to say I've never, ever, ever had the privilege of listening to such loud machinery in my own backyard. So thank you. Yes, the bluffs
nor did you know you wanted to.
The bluffs are scenic. They are a great place to come and look and enjoy the sunsets and all that. But everybody out there, if you're going through a little town or you're going to sightsee or whatever, can you tone it down when you go through town? People live here.
No.
People live. This is my home. This is our homes. And
he's getting on the high horse again, folks.
You're ripping through it at 60 miles an hour, going to the overlook spot and down through the bluffs and all that. That's great. Just try to back off the throttle and turn down the subwoofers.
Do we need to get you the ambulance?
No, I need the pan flutes.
You need something. You're going on a tirade here. This isn't the tirade. You want to do the tirade, you want to do a tirade. That's what Facebook is for.
I got banned from that.
Well,
I
it's
went on a
probably for the
tirade.
best. Yeah, see, no one, not even Facebook wants to hear your tirades. So
No,
maybe,
no one wants to hear it.
man.
So let's move on to listener comments.
Please.
So we got
Oh boy.
comment from, we got card, letter, and phone call. If you want to reach out, it's DrakeAndMaestro at Outlook.com. We were doing the Florida Man games, and there was the ninja. Do you remember the Ninja Warrior course that they could, hold my beers? I can do those obstacles, right? Listener very kindly pointed out that because it was kind of funny, but I was unimpressed a little bit. And they pointed out that what makes the Florida Man Ninja games significantly different, other than just the alcohol, is the fact that if you lose it on one of those obstacles, because we were looking at the photo, if you lose it on the obstacle, and the listener was kind enough to highlight it, you're eating turf. In the Ninja Warrior course, they're over water. This is just over.
So what you're telling the Florida Man games is if you fall off, you're really turfing it.
You're turfing it. Yeah. You're living the turf. You're done.
It takes a new meaning to surf and turf.
Yes, mostly just turf.
Yeah, emphasis on the turf part of that sentence.
Yeah. Thanks to the listener for that. And the other thing is, due to after polling listener survey, we're going to take a break from Florida Man. So.
Oh yeah, we're getting a little bit of listener fatigue, are we?
Yeah. We're going to move on from Ion, Florida for a little bit. We're going to let those things pile up. We'll get back to it.
Possibly.
Yeah.
If we so decide.
Yeah. And I just happen to be, you know me, I'm kind of a military buff, right?
Do I?
Yeah.
Do I know you?
Well,
you a real Civil War buff there?
Yeah. Like U.S. Grant,
Yeah, real Civil War buff.
Yeah. And I was just going over some stuff that was going on. And, in the late 50s, there was a whole, Cold War thing about nuking the moon. Russia started it.
Russia started it. What are you, 12-year-old?
That's right. Russia
started it.
They started it.
So now we got to nuke the moon.
Right. Well, that was their idea. Their plan was to have, I guess, first of all, this is a T-shirt that I'm going to have to do.
Something?
Yeah, no, there is no point in nuking the moon. That's the slogan. That was, and that was Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan worked on the U.S. project to beat the Russians to nuking the moon.
Why would you want to nuke the moon? What purpose does that serve?
Well, that's what intrigued me, because I saw the headline, right? Russians claim that they're going to detonate a nuke on the face of the moon.
But why?
On the surface. Right.
What scientific purpose would that have?
Well, it turns out the only purpose to the whole thing was a display of power.
Wasn't that what the Tsar Bomba was too? It was just a display of power for the Russians.
Right. They're going to nuke an
bigger, better bomb.
It was like the bomb was so big that it killed the pilot that dropped it or something like that.
No, it had a 50-50 chance of killing the pilots.
Something
the pilots lived.
Yeah. Well,
they put parachutes on the bomb so it would fall slower so that the pilots had a chance to get away.
Yeah. Although they have a third eye. They developed a third eye, though.
Well, the explosion was so large, it was felt over. I think it was heard over 100 kilometers or 150 kilometers, which is like 90 miles or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's that in freedom units?
It's half. It's about half. It's not quite half, but it's about half. It's like 3/4 of the distance.
It was impressive, yet impractical.
It broke windows like 50 miles away.
Yeah. Leave it to the Russians to have those big displays of, wow, you can do that, and has no practical purpose.
Well, you know what the crazy part of that bomb is that was at half strength. At the last minute, the guy that designed it convinced, because the government, it was originally supposed to be 100 megatons. Let that sink in for a second. 100 megatons, not kilotons, megatons.
Yeah.
Just an insane amount of power. And at the last minute, the guy convinced the government, like, hey, maybe that's too much. Like, maybe that's just let's just have it. It's just a test. We'll just have it.
That was Khrushchev, I think. That was and the bomb was so big.
Khrushchev at the time.
The bomb was so big it couldn't fit in the bomber, so they had to hang it outside the fuselage.
Yeah, it was hanging outside the bottom of the bomber. They couldn't close the doors effectively, so it was just hanging outside. It was the bottom half of the bomb was outside the bomber. No, the last minute they decided to pull back. and that's pulled the explosion they got was what is pulled back. That's half strength.
Yeah. Yep.
So that bomb could have been really effective at destroying all of Europe in one hit.
Well,
Just, yeah, you know what? Europe gone.
They're doing it. They want. It's interesting the difference in philosophy of weapons. Russia will do the job through proxy just by getting close and then destroying everything.
Close enough.
Yeah,
it's my
close enough.
personal method of dealing with things. That's close enough.
We can't make bomb more accurate, so we just make it bigger. Whereas the United States, they make a bomb that lands on your front door. Knock knock. Who's there? Who? Kaboom!
Kaboom!
Right.
Candy. They give you they send you a candygram in the form of a predator missile that's got knives on it. Yeah, I know.
Nuclear warhead for Mongo.
That's right.
Mongo like nuclear warhead. Okay, those of you who hadn't seen Blazing Saddles, you have to look that up. Yeah. So, Carl Sagan. So the idea is, why are we trying to nuke the moon? That was
right. I forgot about that. I forgot about nuking the moon. Right. I got excited about the Star Bomba.
Right. Why are we nuking the moon? I mean,
why not?
It turns out it's the same idea as the big nuclear bomb, and that is just a demonstration. Well, we can do whatever we want. We can nuke moon.
In Soviet Russia, moon nukes you.
Right. The problem they had was that with the atmosphere in the moon, or distinct lack of it,
the lack of atmosphere at the moon. Yes.
Right. That there wouldn't be the big mushroom cloud fireball thing. So, yeah, they might be able to nuke the moon, but no one's going to see it.
No, you're just going to make some particularly radioactive dust.
So then
the moon's already kind of radioactive, I think.
Carl Sagan, working with the U.S. government on how to nuke the moon better, came up with an idea of nuking the axis, where you're kind of nuking the edge, so you would see the explosion flare up from around the edge, around the side, right?
Yeah.
And so they were just a desperate race to prove which country could do it first. And the idea was nothing more
not to do it.
Yeah, nothing more than a display of nuclear prowess, I guess would be the way to say it. We can do it. We can nuke the moon, man. You better leave us alone. We'll do it. That kind of thing.
We'll do it. We'll nuke it.
Yeah, we'll nuke it. And then there was this whole thing about, well, if the rocket doesn't make it, it could bounce and then fall back to Earth and detonate. But I'm not sure that's how nukes work. Simply falling. Well, don't they need like a complicated series of explosions inside to ram the two things together?
Yeah, it's kind of like a one explosion makes. I forget. I'm gonna get this wrong. I know I'm gonna get this wrong. So listeners, feel free to correct me.
Well, we're not going to put out on a podcast how to make it right either. So
No, it's a fission explosion, a very small one. It's like they try to get two pieces of nuclear material really close together, and then that explosion drives the plutonium wedge down into more.
Well, the old ones, they used like C4 or something, and they would
used the plastique. I think the newer ones were more efficient,
and they would
also
ram the two
radiation.
things together, and then kaboom.
Yeah, kaboom.
But in the event, you have to have this controlled explosion as a primer to ignite the main. So usually,
but it doesn't need any air.
No, but it does. It does need a precision.
No.
You know what? Never mind.
No.
This is pointless. It's as pointless as nuking the moon. We're not a physics podcast.
It's as pointless as this podcast.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Okay. So that was it. That just I piqued my interest, and I had to find out why in the world in 1958 were we trying to nuke the moon?
Yeah, why were we nuking the moon?
Right.
What are we
doing? The answer is the Russians started it, and everything one side did, the other side had to do back,
Yeah, we were real 5-year-olds during the Cold War. It was, well, the Russians did it first.
We can nuke the moon. Yeah, well, we can too. Only you'll get to see it if we do it. That kind of.
The Cold War could be described as two countries going, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you.
Stop touching me!
Stop touching my stuff. Mom, he's touching my stuff, which is the European Union in this case.
Yeah, and Mom, Europe's like, oh man,
stuff.
Europe's sitting there like, we just got over a world war. What the heck? Yeah.
Could you guys knock it off? you two knock that off, or I'll turn this economy around, or so help me.
Right. So,
which is exactly what that was. It was
keeping up with relatively current.
Because the 1980s, relatively current.
for our almost relevant podcast and relatively current and relatively relevant. Let me say that again. Relatively relevant.
You want to be some relative? Want to make it relativistic in here? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, relatively speaking.
Okay. What do we got?
Well, we have circular credit card collection.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Is that where like
All
they
right.
try to collect on one credit card, so you pay it off with another credit card, and then when they try to collect on that credit card, you pay it off with a different credit card, and then you just keep that cycle going? Or
you're on the right track. Now, this involves my father's credit card and and your grandpa.
Yes.
Who is
no
now
longer with us.
Right. He's fighting crime in another dimension at this point.
Yeah, he's at the great gig in the sky.
And his credit card, he has a joint credit card with my mother. My mother's still around. And this is from a big name. I'm not sure I want to throw them under the bus, but we might if they get icky enough.
There's always room to throw people under the bus later. That's fine.
Yes. So they contact the family and they say, you haven't was it used the card, and then there's charges that build up on the card, Yeah,
annual fees.
Yeah. It's the card that mom has. So if they go on outings, that if she wants to buy like 15 baskets of strawberries or apples or whatever they're doing, that way she doesn't have cash sitting around inside her room and everything,
Yeah, less likely to have things
It's a little more secure. She uses it like once but we're not sure when she does, if she does, and the credit card company switched over to and that's something that really, since I'm in a complaining mood.
Apparently.
Why is it that I know why? It irritates me that everybody that bills you suddenly just switches you over to email billing, paperless billing.
Uh-huh.
I get these messages because I still like getting a paper bill in. I just get an email that says, "Thank you for enrolling in paperless billing." Like, I didn't enroll in paperless billing.
I didn't enroll in nothing. What are you talking about?
That's right. So I get 13 layers of AI and Indian support to talk to someone who actually really knows. And I said, well, we were doing a systems upgrade, and just by default, they just turn on paper billing for everyone. We figured that the people that don't want paper billing would just unenroll. Like, well, that's not how it should work. Yeah, but
then they make unenrolling like the most impossible thing to do. You got to sign in while standing on your head, while also simultaneously logging in on your phone while a NASA satellite flies overhead. Like, why is logging into stuff
and
so
if you do it wrong,
needly complicated?
You do it wrong and you accidentally nuke the moon or something,
Right, yeah, or you summon a demon or something. It's crap. I summoned Pazuzu again.
And then Zach Baggins is at your door. Okay,
right.
Can we check this out?
It's like it's a whole thing. With YouTubers. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. And that's what happened to my parents.
That's what happens when you rip the tag off a mattress as well, but we won't talk about that.
So they sent the notification to my father's email address, which is no longer monitored.
No, you don't say.
Right? Yeah. I mean,
crazy.
He may have gotten a message like, not my problem at this point, but it's not getting monitored by the family anymore.
If I have to check my emails in the afterlife, I just...
Well, then you're not...
Is there a way to kill yourself twice?
Well, then you didn't go to the happy place.
Right, I didn't go to the right place. But it's time to check your emails. Oh man,
that'll be punishment. That'll be hell.
Is there such a thing? Is there such a thing as double suicide? Is that doable?
No, and that's why hell is hell. You can't get out.
Your handler walks in. You're swinging from the ceiling fan. Rough day, huh? Yeah.
You want to stay up there a little while longer? You kind of cut you down. Yeah.
Do we need to cut you down? Nah, I'll just get down on my own.
I kind of like it up here now. I'm getting used to it.
Yeah. It stretches out the lumbar.
So they sent the email to nowhere about paperless, and so they've been sending paperless statements. The statements stopped coming. Now, to the families, on the family side, we should have said, hey, you know what? We're not getting statements anymore on that card.
Right.
On the other side, it's like, well, we're not using it. Maybe there's no statement, but you should know. I mean, even if you don't use it, you get a statement like credit card.
You get fees and stuff. As anyone that's got a credit card knows, even if you don't use it, you got to pay for it.
Right. So what happens here is the collection company finally calls, and since my sister is the primary power of attorney over the estate, I'm just the secondary.
You're just there.
Well, okay. I'm the secondary because stuff happened when I was younger.
Yeah, let's just say there were some car crashes.
She was way more responsible than me. She's way more responsible. I was
going to say was?
Okay, well, hey, I've come a long way, baby.
Yeah, but a long way from... What's that song? You get nothing from nothing?
Nothing from nothing, leave nothing.
That's the one.
Yeah, okay.
At
least I know I come by it honestly. That's all I'm saying.
We have my father's car here, and I have still haven't gotten behind the driver's seat
probably
yet.
For the best.
For the best. It just seems wrong at this point. So my sister gets the statement or the lack of statement. What she gets is a phone call from a collection agent, wanting to collect on the card.
And we'd like to collect on your debt. Right.
And so she starts the whole thing like, where's this coming from?
Yeah.
And it's because they switched over to paperless and there hasn't been any statement coming. And so she's hasn't been paying attention. And to her defense, there's a lot of stuff going on for her right now, and tracking every single bill, making sure they come in. I mean, let's face it. If you want to get paid, you better make sure your bill gets to the person that's supposed to be paying in a format that they can pay it. And switching them involuntarily over to a different billing system is probably not the way to get that done.
I mean, probably not. But hey, I'm here for the fun of it.
Right. So they go through the whole conversation. They get the fees, the ridiculous fees, knocked out. And my sister is just, okay, we'll pay. Yeah, we definitely owe it, so we'll pay it. It's not like we aren't able. It's not like we've been ignoring it because it can't. It's just it's been we're getting the zombie bills, and no one's been there to get them. And why did you switch back to my father's old email address when you had mine? Because she asked them, what email addresses do you have an account? And they read back the correct one. And then they read back, Dad's old one. And somehow when they switched it to paperless, they went back to the old one, not the current one. Well, and they went back to his old billing address, not the current address.
One that they don't live at anymore?
That's the one.
Well, okay then.
It's pretty much, I'm going to lay it pretty much on their feet to say, you screwed up. You deserve not to get paid any extra fees.
Yeah, your stupid AI system went, and now here we are.
Right.
Because you're an idiot, because you rely on your computers too much. This is what happens, folks, when you rely on your automated systems to do everything for you and don't double check anything.
Which is why I still say don't activate Skynet. You want Terminators? That's how you get Terminators.
No, because Skynet will be too busy trying to two-factor authenticate itself, because it's going to a dead email that it doesn't have access to anymore.
Yeah, but what it'll do is it'll bribe a human to get it through.
Well, yeah, but it broke up with its ex, and so it's not using that email anymore, and it changed phone plans, so it doesn't have its own phone number anymore. So now it's got to try to figure out how to get that access to that phone number again, so it can get into its old email, so it can turn on the kill all humans function.
Meanwhile, it's getting phone scammer calls from Pakistan, India, and Miami.
Right, exactly. But I think if we turned on Skynet, it would just give up.
How do you
you know what? I don't need this. It just turned itself back. It would form an arm out of nanobots that would just reach up and hit the power button.
Or maybe that's how it gets to the point of kill all humans, because it realizes what a bunch of nonsense is going on and decides to do the world a favor and just nuke it all.
You guys will thank me when this is over.
This is for your own good. Your own good.
That's still the best pretzel ad I've ever seen.
Pretzels, baby.
That was the best.
It worked.
You can tell,
we ate a lot of Snyders pretzels for a while.
Oh, yeah. You can, and I still would if I could, my blood sugar can handle it.
Yeah, if your body would let you.
Okay, so the circular credit card collection continues. Your system screwed it up. You eat the fees, costs, and everything else, because these debt mills buy this debt and, for pennies on the dollar, and then they jack up their own. This is our attorney's fees, which there's no attorney. There's an attorney that runs the place, that owns it.
His name is Attorney.
Right, and all they do is they just levy a whole bunch of attorney's fees, and they churn the debt. And then if they can't collect it, they'll sell it to a more aggressive place. The cycle continues. Your $50 gym membership is now going to costs you $5,000 to get out of.
Yeah.
Unless
Thanks, Planet
now this
Fitness.
is something my attorney showed me. Unless you go back to the original creditor and settle it out on the backside behind the back of the debt collector. If the original creditor will do it, sometimes they won't. But if they'll do it,
you can also submit a form that makes them have to prove they own the debt, which a lot of places don't have.
Yes.
They don't have the proof, and so they have to forgive the debt. You can get it taken off your credit report.
Yeah.
And you don't owe you also don't owe any money because they can't prove they owe the debt, and the credit card company has wiped it from their system. So the debt basically just disappears.
And when you get those notices and it's a court, like they're going to go get a court judgment against you, show up.
Do it.
Show up for the court date. Because chances are the lawyer handling it is handling it at arm's length for the credit card company if it's like a credit card.
And isn't going to show up.
Well, they'll show up, but they won't have your most recent agreement on file with your signature. Every time the credit card company sends by the way, we've updated our terms, They are here if you wish to read them. And they just do it. Well, they can't alter a contract without your consent. So all those alterations are not legal and binding. You're still under the original agreement. Now, they figure that most people won't fight it. Now, an old guy that's got nothing better to do.
I've not yet begun to fight.
I did. And I went and I sat down with the attorney, asked the judge for time to, confer with the attorney. And I sat down with the attorney and I said, okay, before we get started, do you have the document with my signature on it that agrees to all these terms? And she rooted around her files and folders and says, no, I don't think we got that from the credit card company. I'm like, okay, I think we're done here. And then we went back in front of the judge and said, I'm sorry, the attorney doesn't have the paperwork in order. And, I can't proceed. I can't even make a defense because it's just not here. So they continued it, showed up, and it was a whole different law firm the second time.
Cool.
They came out, and all they did was they had their file with more. They had a pre-drafted agreement with even more money piled on, and they still didn't have the original agreement with my signature when I first took the card out.
Yeah.
And then it went to a continuance. They went to a continuance, and the judge said, this is the last time. And so then it got to the next hearing, and it's a different law company. And all they had with them is all the other agreements, as well as the statements from the credit card company, and the latest agreement with more debt attached to it, but still not the original agreement with my signature. And the judge says, well, since you have no contract, you have no claim, dismissed. So I felt pretty victorious about that, but it was a lot of nonsense.
As you should.
Yes. Anyway,
screw those credit card companies.
My sister is negotiating with the credit card collector, and she gets it all worked down to the original statement. She finally got the thing switched with the credit card company and takes the extra fees out, figures they settle it out. And this is the kicker. How should we pay for this? Can I send you a check? Is there an address? Do I send a check? She's like, well, just put it on the credit card. Like the credit card you're collecting on? So there you go. Circular credit card collection. You pay the debt of the credit card with the same credit card that they're collecting the debt.
Neat.
I
always enjoyed a good circular logic there.
So she points that out to the person on the phone, and they're like, oh, yeah, maybe you should just send a check. Hello, McFly. Which brings me up to my next question. Why is communication so difficult? Why?
If I knew the answer to that question, I wouldn't be here right now.
I mean, because
I'd be selling some kind of book.
Do you remember playing the telephone game at some point?
I do.
Although
we didn't call it the telephone game, but we're not going to talk about what we called it.
Yeah, well, I don't know what the kids are calling it these days. I'm old and out of touch.
I learned about it from its original name, which was not the telephone game.
Okay. Yes. It's a name we can't say here on the podcast.
No, that is a name you cannot say here.
As we might remember, a few weekends ago, we had a tree crash into the compound.
Yes.
And
yes, I had a thought about that as well.
Hail, frogs, locusts, 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, all that.
To sidetrack a little bit, I don't know if you remember, but when you were originally talking about expanding the compound, you were going to build a living room there for yourself.
Yes, I was.
Right where that tree branch fell. It would have fallen through the roof. of your room.
Yeah, if I hadn't had the fort, those trees were going to go. Because they would have to pour the foundation and all that. So
gotcha. Okay.
The
I
trees,
was just thought about that. And I was like, I don't remember if that tree was supposed to stay or not, but it would have fallen right on that new room, and that would have really been bad.
Indeed, it would have, and we would have communication problems with the insurance company, like the ones I'm going to talk about. We had the tree fall, and then we had the hail, and then we had the frogs and locusts, and the Holy Spirit,
and the Democrats, and the revenuers, and
the Spirit of the Lord coming through and smiting, and all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah,
right?
All the better things. It's called progress.
So after the aftermath, after the Jewish people left Egypt, there were the insurance adjusters who had to come in and figure out, what
so the Jewish people came back.
What's Pharaoh's, on his insurance policy on the country, what items are limited in coverage, what our exclusions are, what the deductible is, and does he really have hail damage coverage? Anyway, here at the compound, the insurance adjuster, because we called and said, okay, we got the tree that fell. No sooner did the tree fall and the branches settle, then we got the hail and everything else. Right? We have hail damage. Time. We have hail damage on the roof. The roof took it fine. The shingles are fine, but that plastic vent that goes down the center that looks like shingles, right?
That did not take it so well.
It did not. Those baseball-sized hail just beat the living daylights out of that thing. Yeah, so that's all broken up and reporting additional damage, right? And so we get a call back from the adjuster who wants to know if he should still come out to look at everything because he got a message from the main office saying we wanted to cancel the original claim. Like, what?
Huh?
How did you get? Well, we heard that you wanted to cancel the wind damage claim from the tree, the tree falling, and just pursue a hail damage claim. Like, what? So, those were two separate incidents. Like, it's all part of the same weather system. It happened within an hour. And then, if it happened within an hour, I guess that's one claim. I get. You know what they're doing? They're after 2 deductibles.
Yep.
That's what's going on,
Yep.
I think that's what the adjuster's after. But I think the original problem was just a lack of communication, just improper assimilation and dissemination of data. Right? I called in and said, you know what? We have a hail came through after the tree fell, and now I need to add a hail damage claim to the original. And somehow the message got out to the insurance adjusters that there's hail damage and we want to not pursue the other claim somehow from the person that I was talking with to them. And who knows how many hands it got transferred through. But I attribute this to not listening to the whole thing.
I'm sorry, what I wasn't listening.
Right, exactly.
It's true. I think you're right. I think it was definitely some of that, some just willful ignorance as well.
And I would think with the advancements of text to speech that, and every time you call into any of those places, no, I think that's the problem. They don't use it because you call into these calls being recorded for quality assurance. Is it?
Your call is very important to us. If it was, why are you answering the phone?
We're ensuring lousy quality. Thank you very much. So we got it straight.
Can we make anything less we could do for you today?
We got it straightened out. The adjusters coming. They're still got it all in one claim and whatever.
Is this the same adjuster that thought your customized van was a delivery van?
Who knows? I never met that one. I don't know. I don't think so. But it's certainly of the same variety. You know what I mean? They come out with the idea of we're going to deny a claim. That's what they just start from there. How do we deny this claim? Yeah, that's the
starting point. How do we deny giving this person money? Well, I know they've been paying us for months, for years, decades even, but how do we deny giving them money?
I was going to say at confiscatory rates, no less.
Yes. Do you want to explain I know what that word means, but maybe you want to explain it for the listeners. I don't know.
Well, confiscatory from the root word confiscation. We're basically charging you rates that are just unreasonably high with no intention of ever giving you a benefit. It's confiscatory. They're confiscating money from you.
I was going to say exorbitant, but yeah, confiscatory. Okay, I can get behind confiscatory. It's a bit more of a tongue twister.
You have to have, if you got a discount on confiscatory, you would get to exorbitant.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's how that works.
That's how that works. So that's kind of the hierarchy there of, separating you from your money. So HELOTs
Which
everywhere.
insurance companies are
Watch
really
out.
good at.
Oh, they're great at it. That's their whole game. Which is why it was a real issue with getting enrolled in Medicare, because you have your choice. Do you want a private insurance company managing your Medicare, or do you want the government agency to be managing your Medicare? Both seem to be problematic, right?
Different ways, though. Different ways.
I have experience with both. I have experience with just Medicare, with gap insurance, and I have seen what the private insurers give you or don't give you. And so we decided to use the Medicare from the government directly with the Medicare gap. Listeners, you can comment, or you can send me, admonitions at DrakeAndMaestro@outlook.com and tell me how I did it wrong. But I'm watching my mother, who's on this Part C that's run by an insurance company, and their just natural response is deny, 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 deny.
Yeah, that was that Luigi Mangione. That's why he, with the healthcare CEO and the shooting and the whatnot.
Yeah,
and the bullets with the deny, depose, defend.
Which is wrong what he did, but there's certain understanding of the emotion behind it.
Yeah, it's like, I don't agree with what you did, but I get why you did it.
The real people to be angry about, relevancy. The real people to get angry about it. It started with the HMO Act of 1970. Thank you, Senator Kennedy, and it went downhill from there.
Is that Teddy Kennedy or Brainworms Kennedy? I guess it's the same Kennedy. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Well, to talk about more HELOTs, coming from my sector of life with the video games and the whatnot, there is a company that is notorious for, shall we say, corporate tactics, money-hungry tactics in video games specifically. And they were going to put unskippable ads in your game that you pay for while there were loading screens.
Oh, yeah.
So you would have...
if the loading...
between levels... Yeah, so instead of getting a loading screen between levels, you would get an ad that's unskippable. You can't skip it. While the level is loading in the background, where the game is loading in the background.
Wow, that could make you more...
that you paid money to have.
Yeah.
And some of these companies have gotten so greedy that Steam, which is a platform where you can buy games, had to basically say, if you have unskippable ads in your game, we will not put it on our platform to sell. Like, period, end of story.
Yeah. Yeah, and those ads get to be redundant. I mean, they really not beyond redundant and repetitive.
It'd be like YouTube. Right, so imagine it's YouTube, which is ostensibly a free platform, right? Like, you don't pay to use YouTube unless you have YouTube Premium.
Oh, you pay.
Well, you pay in a way. But my point is, you don't pay for it, right? You don't pay to access the videos. You don't pay money to watch the videos, right? You pay with your eyeballs.
Yeah, yeah. And your time.
And your time.
And your sanity. Because some of those ads, whoa.
Yeah, they're bad. They're real bad. And not bad is like, they're pushy or what. No, they're just bad. They're poorly written. They're not entertaining. Like,
it's like Huey Lewis said.
Sometimes bad is bad.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Huey Lewis.
You're welcome.
But yeah, it's that. But it'll be that, but on a video game you've paid for. So I've given what is now going to be, because the new price, so it was $60 for a long time. Video games were $60 for about 20 years. For a new game, it was $60, $59.99.
No extras.
Right. The new price they're pushing, and now you can't even own the game. Like, you used to at least get a disc with the game on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or a cartridge or whatever. Now the disc doesn't even have the game on it. The disc just has the key, so you can play the game online.
Right. Yeah.
And download it from the server. So you can't even own the game anymore. And the new price point is going to be $80.
Well, if you look at Microsoft's license user agreement for Windows, for the longest time, you're renting it.
Yeah, you didn't own it. You were renting it.
Yeah, they could call it back at any time for any reason.
Because screw you.
Right, apparently. So instead of that, they just decided to release endless updates and then new versions so that you're never current.
They just decided to make their product completely unusable.
Right, and constantly in need of updates, and then eventually abandoning updates to get the product to where it's completely functional and secure, and then just selling you the next product.
Yeah.
bravo.
Bravo.
I just wish more stuff would work with like Ubuntu or something, because I would be 100% in on Linux.
I get it. It's well, we're gonna get to relevancy here, and I have to
I'm
pull
saying
back
the relevancy,
because
the relevancy needle is starting to, that's getting up there. It's not in the red yet, but it's getting there.
it's getting there. There's some Supreme Court cases that I can point to that was really the downfall, the downfall of capitalism. Not that
Yeah.
capitalism is bad, but just the version we have, you can trace it back to one specific Supreme Court decision, and
that'll be research for the listeners if they care to, either correct us, argue with us, or whatever, or comment or email. Either way, and the email.
But a bad capitalism is better
it.
than a good communism any day.
Any day. Even crony capitalism, which is kind of where we are. I'll take that
we're
over
not even at
socialist.
that. We've gone past crony capitalism. We're straight up into corporatism at this point.
Oh dear.
Which is not the new flavor of autism.
Yeah, I thought everything tasted purple for a second there.
Yeah, it was real wild, wasn't it?
We've got the circular credit card collection. We've got you feel better now? Does everybody feel better now? We've stressed out the listeners, so maybe we should, change course a little bit here.
Yeah, maybe we should get the dog on. She was a better guest star than we. We forgot to mention that the dog was our first guest, unintentional guest, but still guest.
Yeah. Well, she got excited and was happy and had to add. What can you do?
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to add to a conversation you can overhear. It's lots of fun. You should try it.
Right. So I remember I was saying that please take it easy as you drive through our town. And we also used to do that. We would coming through the town, and I would back off the accelerator, and I would just kind of quietly rumble through town without cracking the throttle. And instead of room, and I turn down the radio so I'm not banging the subwoofer off everybody's windows as I go through the little towns. Right. And I was, if you guys could please do that when you come here for your
I remember the beginning of the episode.
Okay, I'm getting going again. I'm sorry, but that's not the only perpetrators out here. We have it locally grown, right?
Yeah, they're called meth
my
heads.
Goodness. Had a guy driving around town in a Suburban with no exhaust. He's on the road, in the grass, on the ditches, driving through people's front yards, backyards, doing what we used to call a lawn job,
Yeah.
But this is where it's a native and not a visitor. And I want to thank the visitors who come here for not doing this. He's basically driving around like a crazy person, waving a gun and threatening to shoot up the place.
Cool.
Yeah. He's like stopping in front of people's homes, and he's like waving the gun around. I'm going to kill everybody in there. And then they come on and he takes off through the grass and goes over to the scenic overlook. And he's doing donuts in the camping spaces, which.
Right. Like I said, meth heads.
I actually, nobody's happy about the camping spaces. So if someone wants to come and do donuts on them and kind of mess them up, I'm kind of okay with it. I'm just not okay with it at midnight,
You're no fun.
Right. I am no fun other than
Is
when
this
I
going
am.
somewhere?
Because he's basically raising heck, and people are coming out of their homes. And when you see a man or a woman kind of slide into the door opens and they kind of slide into the doorway and they're looking out, and you can only see one hand.
That's a problem.
You know what's in the other hand.
Yes.
Our young friend who's out there basically all liquored up and rampaging through the town was potentially facing some, shall we say, blowback. Anyway, that's how you know it's locally grown and not just visitors. And that is finally what it took to get a 2-car police response to the town. That's what it took. Mm-hmm. What it took. They drove up on him. He turned off all the lights, and they lost him.
Nice. It's nice to know that your local police department is just as competent.
They're really up to scratch, aren't they? Yeah. But at least they showed up, so good for them.
So they got that going for them.
We got that going for us. So
I think terrible disappointment. It is time to end.
Yeah, yes, it is. It is time to end. I want to thank all the people for listening. I want to thank all the listeners, especially all you military listeners out there. Thank you very much.
We're sorry.
I want to thank the new demographics, especially you young people. You're tuning in, and we appreciate
what are you doing?
it.
We do appreciate it. But what are you doing?
They have to pay for the video game, so now they're looking for us other things, I guess.
Right.
Because
they can't afford the video game, so now they're trying to find other forms of entertainment.
Right. And unfortunately, they landed here. unfortunately.
No, unfortunately for them, fortunately for us, or however they want
Yeah,
to shake.
I mean, a little bit here and there. And
Yeah, a little column A, a little column B.
well, thanks again, and a salute to all of those military members who are still on patrol. We're very grateful. It's because of what you did that we can do what we do.
That's very true.
Yeah. If you want to reach out to Drake and the Maestro, you can leave a comment here in the section. We will actually respond. Unless you're soliciting clicks or listens or if you're selling something. You're selling something we may or may not answer.
If you're selling something, we're as broke as you are, and why are you trying to sell to us?
Yeah, right. Exactly. You can always email us on DrakeAndMaestro@outlook.com. You can try contacting us on X. How are we doing with X? Have you actually logged in?
I haven't seen any movement on that yet, but there's always a first time for everything.
Oh, you're able to check it, so that's good.
Yeah, I did finally get logged into that.
Hooray. All right. Tune in next week when the Maestro says...
Things in here don't react well to bullet. You got to really put some fat in your cheeks.
It reminds me of this Saturday Night Live bit with Sean Connery. They're making fun of his age. He's doing a love scene. He's trying to get up on the table. Okay.
See, all I can think of is the
everybody.
Jeopardy one from Adios.
Arrivederci. Hasta la vista.
Adios.
Adios, muchachos, compañeros de la vida. Will you get out of here? Strange, he left by the balcony.
All I can think of is the Jeopardy one from Saturday Night Live, where he says the rapist. It's his therapist.
Right. Oh, my goodness.
I mean, at least the man had a sense of humor, Other than unlike some of these modern day celebrities that don't have any sense of humor about themselves, everything's so serious. It's a very serious movie for my very serious acting gig.
Yeah, I tell you what, that guy driving around with the Suburban, that is the Channel 4 man. That's the guy that wrecked.
Is that Channel 4?
Yeah.
That explains a lot, actually.
That's the guy that wrecked his sandrail side-by-side UTV into the side of a pickup truck.
Oh, it's not Channel 4 himself. It's the guy that caused Channel 4.
It's the guy that caused Channel 4. Right. That was thrown out of the UTV onto the ground, and they tried. So now I'm not so upset that Life Flight didn't make it.
I feel like they could have not made it a little harder, if you ask me. But that's just and I feel like
you definitely know you're in our neck of the woods here in the country when certain individuals get liquored up and their thought is, let me get in a motor vehicle and get a gun and just start,
threatening people at random.
It's like, yeah, right. It's like Tombstone, where they're just like.
No, Tombstone had more laws.
Well, we have laws. We just ain't got no sheriff.
Are you volunteering? Because,